if you remember, I know it's been like a month since we've been in the book of Hosea. So let's just situate ourselves again. We are in what's called the minor prophets. Now, this is sort of a unfortunate phrasing because there's nothing minor about, no, none of these colors, they all blend in. There's nothing minor about them in terms of like minor leagues, major leagues. They just tend to be shorter books. That's it. We did Amos, which was targeted primarily at Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel. We'll talk about this all in a second. And judgment is coming. Hosea actually comes after Amos. Now it's confusing, I know. Why did they put the book of Hosea before? Well, the Bible's not necessarily chronologically ordered, right? If you read it from beginning to end, yes, Genesis is the beginning and Revelation is the end, but in between, you really have to think of it more as a library than like a novel. Okay, and that's why I like this representation, because this tells you that the Bible is like a library of 66 different books, and they're not arranged necessarily by order in terms of time.
Is there any chronological Bibles you recommend?
So there are some, but the problem is sometimes there are things that would be like woven in, and there'd be conjectures, like Psalms, right? So I wanted to do this on my own. So I got a Bible that's 3-ring binder, like you can take out the sheets, right? And so I was like, oh, I'll be clever. I'll make my own chronological one and put things in. But then actually you get to some of the problem is there's some things that would go in between, like a page even. So it's like, oh, it's roughly it. And then I thought, what am I doing this for? This is going to help nobody. I don't know if I'm going to read it like that way.
You have to parse Kings and Chronicles.
Yeah, so you'd be like splicing in Kings and Chronicles. Yeah, that's a good example. And then you'd be throwing in some of the prophets there. And like Hosea 1:1 says that he lived, and this is what we're going to talk about today, during the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, and Jeroboam. So that's actually quite a long period of time. So where would I put Hosea in 2nd Chronicles 26, 27, 28, 29? You know, where would I put that? Or what would I even get? It's so granular, I have to say this page was at this time and this page. So I abandoned that. You could probably tell I abandoned that idea pretty fast. But you can find something like that if you look on the internet, of course, like where it's roughly the books are arranged chronologically. But in my opinion, think of it like a library instead. Now, there's roughly some chronological, like these are roughly chronological, those books. And these books are roughly chronological too. But say Kings and Chronicles, they run concurrently. So Chronicles is more aimed at specifically the southern kingdom of Judah, and Kings is like both. So you would be inserting some there. Actually, there's even some overlap with Samuel. These are roughly in order, chronologically too. But when you get into the New Testament, these are not necessarily arranged chronologically, for sure. Like Romans was not necessarily written before Corinthians, etc. So, and then these, the Gospels, of course, are written all about the same 3-year period, pretty much. Okay, good questions, though. All right. I love this graph again. This is a very good graphic. Someone keep reminding me to make printouts of this so that you can have it and put it in your Bible. I can forward you the PDF too, but this is just, very, very handy in terms of scales of time. So, notable dates, all right? 2000 BC is about the time of Abraham, and then you go down to his descendants, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. Yeah.
You want to send me that PDF? I can go print it right now.
Well, I want to make it colorful and everything. Yeah. And maybe like cardstock. I don't know. I get crazy with it. Yeah. Oh, I did. Oh. I'm very magnanimous, I guess, because I already did it. No, that tells you what.
What did you do already?
I guess I printed it out because she's got a copy of it.
She got the only copy.
Yeah. There was the one in the entire church. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even remember doing that. So. Okay. So, does someone else have one too? Oh. So the thing is, I think that an 8.5 by 11 is too small. So I kind of want to print it on a little bit bigger sheet and then like tri-fold it or something. Yeah, that's the issue. Sally, did you have a question?
I'm sorry. Would you do the 66 books of the Bible, that exact thing again? I mean,
This one?
reproduce it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you
Send it, yeah.
reproduce it like you?
Yeah, oh, you want me to make this one too? Yeah. Actually, this is also a thought I've had before, is to have like a bookshelf in here that looks like this with the books, and arranged by like section, just as like a visual reference, Yeah. So I know this I find very, very helpful. Really, I do. Like even this would have been helpful as a kid, just to know that there was different categories. And this certainly, I know this looks a little complicated if you don't, not too much of a visual learner, but this is excellent because it has events, people, timeline. It has the 3 kinds of Old Testament books: history, poetry, prophecy, and it puts them color-coded, right? I just really like this layout. It's very elegant, in my opinion. For now, let's just talk a little bit about time scales, all right? So we are in the year of our Lord, August, right, 2026. When we look back at Abraham, we're talking about 2000 BC, so that's approximately how long ago? 4,000 years ago. The scale of time is boggling. I mean, America, again, 250 years. That's just a fraction of the time that has passed or elapsed since Abraham. About 1500 is when you get Moses and the Exodus story, okay? So that's 3,500 years ago. Joshua judges Ruth. That is happening from there until David and the story of the first king, Saul and David. That happens, I just usually round it off to 1000 BC. So 2000 BC, Abraham; 1500 BC, Moses; 1000 BC, David. And so there's 1,000 years from the beginning of the kingdom until 586 BC. Remember, that's a big date when they go into exile in Babylon. That's, it was a multi-step process, but Jerusalem is destroyed in 586 BC. So that's one of those dates that I think is helpful. That's the fall of Jerusalem. And then after that is exile and return, but they never have a kingdom, David sitting on the throne or anything like that after 586 BC. The prophets cease to speak around 450 BC. And after that, there's 400 years of silence until New Testament, Jesus, John the Baptist, etc. Sometimes it's called the 400 years of silence because the prophets don't speak. Hosea is situated here. And we're going to talk just a little bit about verse 1, which is going to just list the names of the kings that Hosea ministered during the reigns of. So we're gonna do a little bit of history. I like it. If you don't like it, you need to like it because this is the Bible. It's the Bible we're talking about. Do you care about the Bible? You do. And do you care about your own history and genealogy? I hope you do. Well, then you should care about the saints. So here's a little bit of the zoom in to specifically the time of Hosea. And Hosea is predicting or preaching almost up until the kingdom of Israel becomes conquered by the Assyrian Empire in 722 BC. So that's another date if you like dates. 722 BC is the fall of the northern kingdom of Israel to Assyria. 586 BC is the southern kingdom of Judah to the Babylonians. So this is a little before that Hosea and Amos were preaching and warning of. If you don't repent, this thing is coming. It's like a train at the end of the tunnel. It is barreling towards you, and you need to get off the tracks, but we know that they don't. Okay. Hosea 1:1 says, the word of Yahweh, which came to Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. So we need to do a little bit, again, of history here. First of all, these are the names of 4 kings of Judah. Judah is made up of the 2 tribes of Judah and Benjamin. That region, if you look on the map over there, is more the southern region of Israel. It includes Jerusalem. The northern kingdom has Samaria as its capital, and it's the same Samaria where Jesus said, the Samaritans, or where the Jesus disciples avoided the Samaritans. Everyone avoided the Samaritans. Same Samaria, Samaritan area. And that was the northern kingdom. And only one king of Israel is mentioned. So for a prophet that's speaking primarily to the kingdom of Israel, it's just interesting that he is going to mention 4 kings of Judah. Of Judah. Where did this start? Where did this start where we had, instead of a united kingdom under David, where we have this split? Why is there a north and south kingdom? Why are 10 of the tribes over here, 2 of the tribes over there? This all happened way back in 2 Chronicles. In 2 Chronicles 9, Solomon dies. So David united the kingdom after the debacle, which was Saul's reign. I consider David to be the first true king of the Israelites. He had a son, Solomon. Solomon was the man who was gifted with wisdom, and he was the one who built the temple, and the kingdom was united and prosperous under his rule and reign. He wrote Proverbs, he wrote Ecclesiastes, and if you read those books, I think you will see why he is, by the Bible's claim, the wisest man to have walked the earth besides Jesus himself. Now, he dies, and he has a son, Rehoboam. Understand that the book of Proverbs, we talk about this in men's breakfast, the book of Proverbs is written by Solomon to his son that he might walk wisely, both from an individual success standpoint, but also as a king. The book of Proverbs is laden with all kinds of wise sayings that prepare the wise man to rule his own life and the lives of others in a God-fearing and a godly way. So the question is, here Rehoboam is going to be king, and what kind of king is he going to be? And we read here, Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. And here Israel does not mean the northern kingdom or southern kingdom. It just means the actual kingdom of Israel united under David and Solomon. And it happened when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, heard of it, for he was in Egypt where he had fled from the presence of King Solomon. Jeroboam returned from Egypt. Who is Jeroboam? Where did this name come from? Now, look, you have another Jeroboam here. Is this the same Jeroboam? No. This is Jeroboam, the son of Joash. This is Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. So these are 2 different Jeroboams, but they share the same name. And in a sense, though they're not family related, there is a similarity to them. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So let's figure out who is this, all of a sudden, this threat that's being introduced to Rehoboam ascending to the throne, taking that over from Solomon, his father, and ruling over the united kingdom of Israel. This is the story now, if you go back in the past. Why is Jeroboam in Egypt? You go back to 1 Kings 11. Now Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite of Zeradah, of Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow, also raised his hand against the king. At the time, this is talking about Solomon, the king. Now he's an Ephraimite. Where does the kingly line of the rule of Israel, what line does it come from? Comes David, right? And David is from the tribe of Judah. Judah is the kingly tribe. Out of the tribes of Israel, which are named after the sons of Jacob, the kingly line should go like this. So you have many years from Judah to David, but they're of the same line, and then David to Solomon. Is Jeroboam a Judahite? No. He's from the line of Ephraim. Ephraim is a significant tribe in the northern kingdom, so much so that it's sometimes used as a name of the northern kingdom, Ephraim. But this is the reason why he raised his hand against the king. Solomon built the Millo and closed up the breach of the city of his father David. So he's got some construction going on. Now the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon saw that the young man was industrious and appointed him over all the load bearers of the house of Joseph. So now he's a son of a servant. He's of no significance, let's say. But he's industrious, he's hardworking, he's courageous. So he gets a position of honor. Now it happened at that time that Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, and that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him on the road. Now that's Ahijah, had covered himself with a new cloak, and both of them were alone in the field. Then Ahijah took hold of the new cloak which was on him and tore it into 12 pieces. Well, I just imagine, I come up, I got a new, coat jacket on, and I just start tearing it up into 12 pieces. And Ahijah the prophet, said to Jeroboam, "Take for yourselves 10 pieces. For thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, behold, I will tear the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and give you 10 tribes. But he will have 1 tribe for the sake of my servant David and for the sake of Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen from all the tribes of Israel." This 1 tribe is Benjamin. So Judah is presumed. The 1 extra tribe is Benjamin, which is a little rinky-dink tribe and not much significance. So it's like you get, here, just take this little scrap. But the 10 go to you, Jeroboam. Why? Because they, that is, the servants of David, the kings, the rules of the kings, including Solomon, have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Milcom, the god of the sons of Ammon, and they have not walked in my ways to do what is right in my sight, and to keep my statutes and my judgments as his father David did. Who did this? It was Solomon. Why? Why did Solomon do this?
Too many wives.
Too many wives. How many wives and concubines? 1,000. So I think it was, I forget sometimes whether it's 300 wives, 700 concubines, or the other way around. I think it.
Why did they call them wives?
Huh?
Why did they call them wives?
Wise? I think some of the point of Solomon's very life and testimony is you can know the right thing, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. And boy, that is an indictment. If you can know the right thing and not do it, then that is a disastrous place to be. I mean, it's worse.
Do what I say, not what I do.
Well, I mean, all of us, of course, can relate to that. No, I know, but I'm saying we can all relate to the experience of, knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. So the indictment is much worse for a man like Solomon, who literally comes up with this book of wisdom. And you know what's one of the things he talks about a lot? Like we talked about this yesterday. Don't go out after the adulterous woman. It's a snare. Seek wisdom because she is beautiful and she's most to be treasured, right? And then Proverbs 31. What is it about? A woman. Yeah. Finding one woman, one godly woman. And think of what that means for a guy who has had 1,000 wives and concubine, and he says, you know what you really need? One. One godly woman outweighs all of them, yeah? I mean, just tremendous, but he knew better than he acted. So, huh?
I have a question, how many of them were actually, love, and how
many of them were?
I don't think any of them were I mean, most wives, a concubine, like, we don't know. Okay, it doesn't say. The text doesn't say.
It's just like if they're familiar, like a power.
There are a lot of strategic alliances and all that kind of stuff. So,
Marriage?
yes.
Really?
Yes, because that is a formal covenant tie. It's like making a contract, right? Like when you but if I make a contract and I shake your hand, I could still not think much of that and walk away. But if I make a contract and you give me your daughter, right? If you break that contract, I have power over your daughter. Are you going to be as easy to break it versus a handshake, spit in a handshake, right? So the idea is that there's like people you care about involved, so you don't want to break the contract because, so that's how political and marriage alliances back then kind of worked, right? So in any case, this is happening. These worship of idols is because what Solomon did for these wives is, well, you've got your hometown religion you like to follow, so I'll just make a little altar here for you to worship and you there. Now, if you got 300 wives, you got a lot of different altars to a lot of different gods. So it was the king, in fact, that was doing this. So this is a rebuke of Solomon's kingship and leadership, this offer or this prophecy to Jeroboam. So, nevertheless, there's still grace in this. I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand. Again, 2 he will have. But I will make him ruler all the days of his life for the sake of my servant David, whom I choose, who kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom from his son's hand. That is who? Rehoboam. Okay? And give it to you, Jeroboam, the 10 tribes. But to his son I will give 1 tribe, that my servant David may have a lamp always before me in Jerusalem, the city where I have chosen for myself to put my name. And I will take you, and you shall reign over whatever your soul desires, and you shall be king over Israel. So that's the northern part where the 10 tribes are. Then it will be that if you listen to all that I command you, and walk in my ways, and do what is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as my servant David did, then I will be with you and build you an enduring house, as I built for David, and I'll give Israel to you. Thus I will afflict the seed of David for this, but not always. Now this is kind of a weird prophecy that's happening, because we know for sure, 1 Samuel 7, or 2 Samuel 7, God makes a definite promise to David that your house and your dynasty will be established forever. You will never lack a son to sit on the throne of David in Jerusalem. And one day that's going to be an eternal kingdom, right? It's a very distinct, very specific promise to him. But this almost sounds like God is coming up with a backup plan. Like, just in case, I'm also going to hedge my bets here, and I'm going to give you kind of a similar offer. Now, it doesn't mean I'm taking away from David necessarily, but I am putting it out on the plate for you to do the same. Now, having said that, is not God sovereign over time and history? Does he not know how this is going to pan out? Yes, he does. But from Jeroboam's point of view, from his culpability and responsibility as a human being, he's being offered the greatest thing that a person can be offered, is the same Davidic covenant, but to me, who is not even, or to him, who is not even of the tribe of Judah. So this is like offering someone everything. And the question is, what is Jeroboam going to do with that? Right? So that's the question in our heads. Because Solomon finds out about this, and he, of course, just wants to kill this potential by killing Jeroboam. So Jeroboam goes where? To Egypt, to Shishak, king of Egypt, and he was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. So going back now to 2 Chronicles 10, Solomon has died. Rehoboam is in Shechem. That's where they made the kings. And Jeroboam hears about it. He leaves Egypt, and he goes, and he's thinking of what? This promise. And they sent and called for him, and Jeroboam and all Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, right? your father made our yoke harsh. In other words, he had a favoritism against the northern kingdom, or the northern tribes. It wasn't the northern kingdom yet, but like you favored Judah and Benjamin, because you're buddies. But you keep oppressing us, and you are using us and abusing us. But now lighten the harsh service of your father and his heavy yoke which he put on us, and we will serve you. Now this sounds very gracious, doesn't it? Doesn't sound like he's trying to seek the kingdom or anything. It sounds like maybe if you just treat us nicely, I don't need to take these 10 pieces of the garment, right, of the coat, and start this kingdom. Now I can't read his mind. I don't know if in his mind he knows something like he's never going to own up to this. And this is him ingratiating himself to the 10 tribes, right? Because he knows maybe Rehoboam's not going to go with this. So he's just saying it so that when he gets rejected, spoiler alert, he can say, I offered, but he rejected. So what choice do we have, man? What choice do we have? 10 tribes, but to rebel against us. Now that's getting ahead of it, but you already know that. So how does Rehoboam respond to this? He says, return to me again in 3 days. So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam took counsel with the elders who had stood before his father Solomon. So these are his father's advisors. While he was still alive, saying, how do you counsel me to respond to this people? They spoke to him, saying, if you will be good to this people and please them and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. So what are they advocating for? Treat them nice. Be gracious to them.
Jeroboam knew about the new crew. That's
Maybe. But Rehoboam, what did he do? He forsook the counsel of the elders which they had counseled him, and took counsel with the young men who grew up with him and stood before him. Who did he talk to? His buddies, his friends. Guys, I was talking to these old people, and they don't know what's going on. Just, what do you guys think? He said to them, what counsel do you give me that we may respond to this people who have spoken to me, saying, lighten the yoke which your father put on us? The young men who grew up with him. So they keep saying the young men who grew up in them. These are his buddies. These are his knucklehead, idiot friends. They spoke to him, saying, thus you shall say to the people who spoke to you, saying, your father made our yoke heavy, but you make it lighter for us. Thus you shall say to them, my little finger is thicker than my father's loins. I mean, that is a crazy statement. Like, just, boy, that is. So now my father loaded you with the heavy yoke, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. And this is very poetic. I mean, this is just a very poetic way to put their disdain and their arrogance and their ego. Like, just, this is young men at their worst. I'm not saying young men cannot ever have any sense or wisdom or self-control, but you also know a lot of young men. And you know, this is the way they think. Those old people don't know what they're talking about. You need to throw your weight around. You need to show them who's boss. Right. so whose advice do you think he went with? You know. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the third day, as the king had spoken, saying, return to me on the third day. And the king answered them harshly. And King Rehoboam forsook the counsel of the elders, and he spoke to them according to the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I'll add to it. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. It's just very sinister, hostile, antagonistic. So the king did not listen to the people, for it was a turn of events from God. Now God is sovereign over all that's happening, that Yahweh might establish his word, which he spoke through Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So this is a very clear statement that the text is making, that even when the prophet spoke with this offer, that it was going to happen, that Jeroboam was going to have the opportunity to be a king. And perhaps he was manipulating events, like that Jeroboam maybe knew that his Rehoboam's friends were idiots, or that they were close. He was close to them. Maybe that's all true, but ultimately, who brought this about? Who is sovereign over it? It's God. So, from this point, then there is near civil war. Now all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them. So the people responded to the king, saying, "What portion do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, David." So all Israel went to their tents. But as for the sons of Israel who lived in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. So to be fair, there were some northern kingdom Israelites who said they're wrong. I mean, it's not that it's right that they're oppressed, but it's wrong to resist the Davidic king. So some of them did get it, to be fair to them. Then King Rehoboam sent Hadoram, who was over the forced labor, and the sons of Israel stoned him, and he died. So this is so dumb. He didn't send like an ambassador or emissary, right? He sent the guy in charge of forced labor to go talk to them. What does that imply? Like, yeah, we're gonna force you guys to submit to us. And so, of course, the 10 tribes, they just killed him. They stoned him. He died. And King Rehoboam made haste to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Now, we don't know when the editor or the collector of Chronicles put that statement, but this is obviously far in the future. Then Rehoboam came to Jerusalem and assembled the house of Judah and Benjamin, 180,000 chosen men who could wage war to fight against Israel to return the kingdom to Rehoboam. So what is this talking about? Civil war. So Rehoboam goes to Jerusalem. He's amassing the army. We're going to take the northern kingdoms by force then, and we're going to have a civil war on our hands. But the word of Yahweh came to Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, "Speak to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and to all Israel and Judah and Benjamin, saying, Thus says Yahweh, you shall not go up and fight against your brothers. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me." So they listened to the words of Yahweh and returned from going against Jeroboam. So at that point, from then on, so we're talking a little after 1000 BC, you can call it 1100 BC, 900 BC, because you go backward, the kingdom is split into two. 10 tribes in the north, 2 tribes, Judah and Benjamin, in the south, and they're going to be running on separate tracks for the line of kings, where the southern kingdom will always have a descendant of David, from the tribe of Judah as a king, and the northern one, it's going to be just chaos, just assassinations and upheavals. They're very unstable kind of a situation. Now you are going to ask yourself, what kind of king was Jeroboam? Because remember, what was the promise that Ahijah made? If you listen to all that I command, you walk in my ways, do what's right, as my servant David did, then, hey, you and your 10 tribes in the north, it could be good. It'll be just as good as David. Now, I did make a promise to David, of course, but it could be just as good. So how does Jeroboam handle the kingdom? I'm sorry. Did I?
That's the second Jeroboam.
Yeah. I'm trying. Maybe I didn't. I thought I had made a slide, but if I didn't, then we're going to have to do it. You're going to have to actually open your Bibles.
Both Jeroboam's king or just one?
Huh?
Are they both kings? Tell me that.
Who?
You said there's 2 Jeroboam, right?
Yeah.
Both kings?
At separate times.
Okay.
Yeah. At separate times. So I'm sorry. I thought I had put this down. Okay. So in 1 Kings, yeah, I apologize. I thought I had put that. No. It's a reference. So no, it's 1 Kings 13 or 12, 25 and on. So I just that I didn't make slides for it. That's okay. So Jeroboam, this is 1 Kings 13 or 12, 25 and on. Then Jeroboam, so this is after the civil war is averted, okay? So Jeroboam built Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and lived there. And he went out from there and built Penuel. Now these are going to be sites of tremendous idol worship, but later on. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now the kingdom will turn back to the house of David. If this people go up to offer sacrifices in the temple of Yahweh at Jerusalem, then the heart of this people will turn again to their Lord, to Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and return to Rehoboam, king of Judah. So what's his concern? You have all these feasts that happen where? Jerusalem, which is in the southern kingdom. Where's the temple? It's in Jerusalem, in the southern kingdom. So if they wanted to celebrate Passover and offer any offerings, what do they have to do? They got to go down to Judah. And when they go down there, they might start to think, why are we fighting with each other? I mean, God established his house here in Judah. We should be on good terms with them, and they might come around. So what is Jeroboam's solution to this? So the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and he said to the people, you have gone up to Jerusalem long enough. Behold your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. He set one in Bethel, the other one he put in Dan. Then this thing became a sin, for the people went as far as Dan to be before one. He also made temples on high places and appointed priests from among all the people who were not of the Levites. And Jeroboam appointed a feast, like an alternative feast, on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah, and he offered sacrifices on the altar. So he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves he made, and he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places that he had made. He went up to the altar that he had made in Bethel on the 15th day in the 8th month, in the month that he had devised from his own heart. And he instituted a feast for the people of Israel and went up to the altar to make offerings. So, what was his response? It was, I just need to set up alternative worship locations. Is good idea or bad idea? Bad idea. He literally set up golden calves like Aaron did, at the foot of Sinai, and then they were judged, saying, here's your gods, they brought you out of Egypt. He does the same thing. You'd think they would remember, but actually hundreds of years have passed. Like 500 years have passed from that to now, but it's on repeat. So is God going to bless Jeroboam? According to the offer Ahijah made, if you walk in the way of David your father, blah, blah, blah. No. So, bad news. In fact, he is such a bad king that you have this recurring phrase in the Old Testament, the sins of Jeroboam. And that is a reference to these sins here, that Jeroboam induced idol worship and setting up high places and priests that are not of the Levites. He just did everything wrong. He did everything wrong. He couldn't have done it more wronger, right? Yeah. And so he is not going to be have a kingdom or be established and all those things. So now we go back to Hosea, and again, this Jeroboam is not that Jeroboam. This is the son of Joash, not Nebat, but he's just as bad. Okay. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, became king in Samaria, reigned 41 years. And he did what was evil in the sight of Yahweh. He did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin. So now you know what this means, right? We know all the history that leads up to this. Now this is happening like 150 years after Jeroboam. Yeah, like 150, almost 200 years after the first Jeroboam, you have this Jeroboam. Okay, that's the span of time that we're talking about here. Though they're not related, by kin or family, they are related in their sin and in their hostility to God. Now, he does have this 41-year reign, is the longest reign of any king of Israel, of the northern kingdoms. And we mentioned this before, actually, when we studied Amos, because he also preached around this time as well, or just before, earlier in Jeroboam II. If I say Jeroboam now, I'm referring to Jeroboam the son of Joash. It's like we got the two Jareds. So Jeroboam the second is the Jeroboam the son of Joash. I'm just going to say Jeroboam, and I mean this one, the second one. Okay, so he was very successful militarily, financially. Things were good, but as we saw in Amos, when it came to the spiritual life, it was empty and hypocritical and performative. It was idolatrous, and socially, there was a lot of injustice and corruption in the society. Do you remember all that we talked about there? So on one sense, things would seem to look good if you're just looking at the financial report or the territories that are gained, but they are rotting on the inside, and judgment is coming from God. This is just talking about he expanded the borders. He did a lot of good things. We don't need to get into all this.
The borders of Israel or like northern kingdom? Or like, I mean...
Wait, what?
You said they expanded the borders of what?
Yeah, like he restored the borders. So they had lost some territory, I think to the Assyrian, no, maybe. So he restored some borders, and then they could go eastward, expand eastward and things too. Yeah, huh?
That's where that from that second half.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. So yeah, so things were. This is 2 Kings 14, and if you can look at that. There's actually some evidence of the signs of the prosperity that was under his time period. This is called the Sumerian ostraca. Ostraca refers to like little pieces of pottery fragments. So in 1910, they found more than 100 of these like shards with ink inscriptions in and around Samaria, which is the capital of the northern kingdom. And it speaks of a lot of prosperity during this time. So it's very hard to read, but this is like Paleo-Hebrew or something like that here written on these pieces of pottery. They got hundreds of these, and it seems to be there's a lot of commerce and a lot of trade, so they're doing well. So we have physical evidence of the prosperity of this time. This is actually kind of interesting. This is a replica, but this is called the Megiddo seal of Shema, servant of King Jeroboam II. That's what these inscriptions read here. So it's a reference to a servant of the King Jeroboam. And it is a seal made of jasper. It depicts a crouching lion, along with this inscription, belonging to Shema, servant of Jeroboam. So there's evidence of the prosperity of this time period in these different artifacts. Okay, so that's Jeroboam. Now we're going to just very quickly Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, because these are now the sons or the kings of the southern kingdom. So what's going on in the southern kingdom? Uzziah, we're going to do this fast. We got to do this fast. This is all in 2 Chronicles 26. Uzziah became a king at 16 years old, and he became king in place of his father Amaziah. He reigned 52 years. So it was a pretty good run, and he did what was right in the sight of Yahweh. So he's one of those good kings, and he continued to seek God in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding through the vision of God, and as long as he sought Yahweh, God made him succeed. That's how he started. How did he end? But when he became strong, his heart was so proud that he acted corruptly, and he was unfaithful to Yahweh his God, and he entered the temple of Yahweh to burn incense on the altar of incense. Well, what's so wrong about that? Not a priest. The Levites were supposed to do that. So, but he was so proud, like, I'm someone important. I'm the king. God has blessed me. Why can't I do this thing? Well, it's because God said you can't. It's as simple as that. No, you're not above God. So he gets rebuked. The priests go against him. You're not supposed to do this. Get out of the sanctuary. You've been unfaithful. But Uzziah, with a censer in his hand for burning incense, was enraged. And while he's enraged with the priests, the leprosy broke out on his forehead before the priest in the house of Yahweh beside the altar of incense. And Azariah, the chief priest, and all the priests looked at him. Behold, he was leprous on his forehead. And they hurried him out of there. And he himself also hastened to get out because Yahweh had stricken him. So King Uzziah was a leper to the day of his death. And he lived in a separate house, being a leper, for he's cut off from the house of Yahweh. So he was a good king. His overall judgment of him is that he was a good king, but what got to him? When times are good, you start to think, you know why things are good? Because I'm so great, because I'm so awesome. And as soon as you start doing that, you start being presumptuous. His pride got to him. You know, he's still a good king. Other people were blessed by him, and other people were safe and secure underneath him. But he himself, leper, until the day that he died. His son Jotham becomes king. What was Jotham like? He was 25. He reigned 16 years. And he did what was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that his father Uzziah had done. However, he did not enter the temple of Yahweh, but the people continued acting corruptly. In other words, he was personally a good guy, but he did not himself rule the people well or hold them accountable also. So that's sort of a sad statement in and of itself too. I mean, you know, would we be good pastors if we ourselves had good, upright morals and manners, but we're letting the congregation run buck wild? Say no. That is our calling as pastors, is to shepherd the flock. His calling as a king is to lead and rule the people well and guide them into service of the Lord. But he was a good king overall, despite this criticism of his life. So Jotham was a relatively good king. Ahaz became king after him. He was 20 years old. He reigned 16 years as well. And unfortunately, he was one of those bad ones. He did not do what was right in the sight of Yahweh, as David, his father, had done. He walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. He also made molten images for the Baals. So that's a pagan god. Moreover, he offered offerings in smoke in the valley of Ben Hinnom and burned his sons in the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom Yahweh had dispossessed from before the sons of Israel. So what are we talking about here?
Abortion.
Well, modern day equivalent, just killing your children for the sake of your own benefit and blessing. I mean, that is a lot of what people who've had abortions say, unfortunately. So this would have hindered my career or my life. So the kid had to go. Well, they offered their children as sacrifices so that they would have prosperity in the land and blessing and rain and whatever, tragedy. And now this is a king of Judah that he was passing his own sons, burning his own sons in the fire for blessing. It really hardly gets more abominable than that.
Was it still Moloch at that time?
Well, it doesn't say here, but of course there's a few different, pagan gods that would accept these kinds of things. But Moloch was a classic one with the arms that were held out like this. With it was an image like this, and the belly was a fire, and you'd put the babies in the belly, and they would roll, or in the hands, and they'd roll into the fire. It makes you mad and just really sad. I cannot imagine that. I just cannot imagine that I would ever want something so bad that I would kill my children for it. But to be quite honest, I mean, would not do that, but anytime you sacrifice other people for your own pleasure, lying to them, manipulating, abusing them. I'm not saying it's the same as murder, but it's the same heart of sin. So I cannot fathom it on the one hand, but on the other hand, I understand anytime I'm sinning against someone else to get what I want, I'm there. Just a matter of degrees, not of kind. Yes.
So they had kings, not dynasties. They killed their own kids, so there's nothing left. You guys-
Yeah, in the northern kingdom, it was not dynastic. Like you had a few different like houses, and some of them you don't even know the names of the house that they were belonging to. So it's chaos up there. It's chaos.
They're heathens. I'm living for the moment. Cares about the future. I'm just gonna.
Well, it's not just that they're heathenists. It's just they were selfish, egotistical and all that. So they sacrificed and offered offerings and spoke on high places. High places, where are they supposed to worship? Jerusalem. There's one place, one temple. High places are places that they would just find a nice hill. This would be a good place for an altar, and they'd worship there. It's kind of more convenient too, than having to go all the way to Jerusalem. But it was wrong. It was selfish. It was comfortable.
They had hills. They had mountains. They're like,
No, the height of it wasn't the issue. It was just that it was a place that was prominent, you could say. Okay, so Yahweh, his God, gave him into the hand of the king of Aram, and they struck him and carried him away. This is Ahaz. And carried away from him a great number of captives and brought them to Damascus. And he was also given into the hand of the king of Israel, who struck him with a great slaughter. So the southern kingdom of Judah was given over into this foreign king, the king of Aram or Aram, and also into the hand of the northern kingdom of Israel, right? And we have kind of a civil war almost, because the northern kingdom of Israel is also like cannibalizing and taking advantage of the southern kingdom. Now, in the time of his distress, this same King Ahaz became yet more unfaithful to Yahweh. So it's like this is happening so that you might go back to Yahweh, that you might repent, but it has the opposite effect. He doubles down in his sin. I mean, you've probably been there, let's be honest, where he's like, oh yeah, God, I'm just going to keep sinning even more. Indeed, he sacrificed to the gods of Damascus, which had struck him. So he's now offering God to the people that are oppressing him, saying, because the gods of the kings of Aram help them, I will sacrifice to them that they may help me. So it's like, if I can offer better sacrifices than the Aramites to their God, maybe that God will change his loyalty from them to us. Right? You see that logic? That's how they thought the gods were. It's the opposite of chesed. Chesed is God's faithful, his covenant, faithfulness, and love. It's set on you no matter what you do. The gods of this area are all capricious. If you can bribe them better, it's like politicians. If you bribe them better, maybe they'll support your cause. Okay? But they became the stumbling block of him and all Israel. This is a worship of other idols. So he gets together all the precious items in the temple to offer them. Right? He's stealing, he's robbing from God in order to offer sacrifices to the god of Aram. It's despicable behavior. Each and every city of Judah he made high places to offer offerings and spoke to other gods, provoked Yahweh, the God of his fathers, to anger. So, not a good king. Not a good king. Ahab was terrible, and he adopts all of their abominable practices and idolatry. After him, we get good King Hezekiah. Now, his story is very long. We won't go into much details. But he became king when he was 25. He reigned 29 years, and he did what was right in the sight of Yahweh. And he fixes a lot of the things that Ahaz did, right? So he cleanses the temple. He tries to get the stuff back. He restores worship. He restores the priesthood. They celebrate the Passover. He is a very, very good king.
He found the Bible. Was that him or
No, I think that was a different king. Yeah, it was Josiah. Yeah. I was thinking it's a J name, but then a lot of them are J names. Josiah. Yeah. Well, how does Hezekiah end? Come on, Hezekiah. In those days, Hezekiah became sick to the point of death, and he prayed to Yahweh, and Yahweh spoke to him and gave him a miraculous sign, but Hezekiah gave no return for the benefit he received because his heart was proud. Therefore, wrath came on him and on Judah and Jerusalem. So he was sick. God, help me. Okay, I'll help you. No, and then no acknowledgement. Right? Just nothing. He did not acknowledge or praise God for healing him, for helping him. Oh, come on. But eventually, he ends on good terms. However, Hezekiah humbled the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of Yahweh did not come on them in the days of Hezekiah. So, and it's kind of a little bit awkward ending because God forestalls judgment in the days of Hezekiah as a consequence. But it does say he humbled the pride of his heart. These are the times of Hosea, the prophet of God. These are the kings, and these are the stories that inform what Hosea is speaking into. Now, he's primarily aimed at Israel, but he does have some comments he makes towards Judah. What do you think are some of the lessons you might draw out of living in the times, as Hosea lived in the times of these kings, right? And you kind of know the backstory. How does it help us to understand how to speak into our times? Or what, do you have any questions about any of these narratives and what happened here? Any observations?
Don't get distracted by women.
Don't get distracted by women. Amen.
Fear the Lord is one.
Fear the Lord, okay. We're done.
Wise counsel.
Look for wise counsel. I think what stood out to me is he had a couple kings here.
Counsel.
Yeah, godly. Yeah, listen to people who have wise, godly counsel. I think some of the things that get me is some of these kings, they did start well, but their pride got in the way of them finishing really well. So just don't think so much of yourself and your successes. Be careful, Jeremiah.
I was going to say, enduring to the end.
Yeah.
As the New Testament says, like, those who endure to the end will be saved.
Yeah.
It also shows the patience of God
Hmm.
in so many instances with these kings.
Yeah.
He's so patient.
Yeah, God is very patient. He endured a lot of just stubbornness and even just outright, indignations that they made towards God. And God was very patient. That is true. He waited hundreds of years to judge Judah,
Yeah.
and hundreds of years to judge the northern kingdom too. Any other thoughts or comments, questions?
Can I ask for a prayer request?
Yes.
I've been looking at my phone. My baby niece is in the hospital with a kidney infection, and it's been antibiotic resistant. She's been in the hospital all weekend. Her fever just broke, so she's doing better, but they have to stay to make sure that the infection's
So your baby niece has a kidney infection. Okay. Well, let's pray for that.